I'm a data guy and a technology person, so we need to measure what we say. Okay, we need to measure what we say. So the way in which we do it, we've created something called the Global Power Index, which ranks all the countries in the world on 10 different metrics so you can forecast into the future. And we have 30 years worth of back data to back up our claims. India currently sits 6th in the world in the Global Power Index, number 6. 30 odd years ago is 24th. And it's had the highest rise faster than any other country in the world, which shows it. To get from 6th to 5th or to 4th is going to be the biggest challenge India has faced. Why? Because the last 30 years of development, you've made obvious reforms. Obvious reforms, and some people may be thinking, why has it taken so long to make these reforms? You know, we heard Prime Minister Modi here, and he seems like a leader who has a vision for the future, and he's been very much responsible for the growth that we've seen, and I can see the pride in the room yesterday of how much the people come around this message, which is needed. So one thing that you could do straight away in helping improve this perception, at least of India, is number one, stop using the word Global South. Okay? Because what Global South really means is the poor countries. And India is growing faster than that label can keep it captured. So we need to use different words to explain. Even emerging markets. I think these are investment words that we use to try to group people together. But if so many countries are grouped, that means there's not a good enough understanding, or there's not a lot of confidence in that region. So we just say, these are the other guys. Yeah? So to get out of the other guys group, you need to do what you're currently doing for the good and reform what you're not doing well. And we measure this, and we help governments, investors, and corporations make better plans to see this forward. So it's data rich, data heavy, and it can give you astonishing insights if used properly.
And which one is the emerging power? Can you say it?
So, sorry?
Which one would be an emerging power, according to your latest? You said you issued it just on Monday, right? The latest report.
Well, India is certainly an emerging power. Indonesia is another big one. But with these things, we're not seeing how they've developed, but we're seeing how they're going to go into the future. You know? So we can see the trend so far, but what they can do to actually impact their future is the X factor that you need to get right, especially now with competition being so fierce. So my Indian friends, make sure that this is top of your minds when it comes time to your businesses, because you decide how far India moves forward.
And finally, Professor Murati.
Thank you.
Your thoughts.
For a topic which is so important to business, I think our analysis is extremely shallow on this topic. And the reason I say that is multipolarity has always existed. I mean, we can't just look at the top 2 or 3 countries and assume they dominate the world. People in all parts of the world do business, they travel, they live their lives. So looking at it through that lens, I think, is a lens of power that only the powerful see. So what we do have isn't multipolarity, but we have something called segmented polarity. Now I want that to be the dominant phrase that we use when describing the world. The difference between multipolarity and segmented polarity is that different countries have different levels of influence in different areas, right? So Saudi Arabia isn't a tech giant like the US is, right? Albania doesn't have as much oil as Saudi Arabia. Putting them all into the bucket of multipolarity is a very low resolution way of looking at the world. And such a low resolution doesn't help you as businesses, as policymakers, or as investors, because it makes you feel like you're smart. The world's very multipolar. So what do we do about it? What does next quarter look like? Oh, it's multipolar. And the conversation just stops there. So we have to have a lexicon or a way of speaking about the world, Pierre, that's based on the realities and looks at your contribution equally to other parts of the world. So that was multipolar. The New World Order is another one. Very rare in the world do we see a switch from an old world order to a new world order. That happens gradually. So the current world order, yes, post-World War II, we all know the story. Bretton Woods, IMF, World Bank, which has led to the development or the decline, the corruption, the degradation, whatever you want to call it, of the world. Mostly for good, but there has been some pockets of bad. So can anyone define or explain if you don't know what we're moving into, how do we know we're moving into it? Naturally, technology is something which is driving a lot of change, but things happen gradually until we wake up one day and feel this isn't what I experienced before, So my main takeaway from this is looking at the world through a lens which appreciates every country in the world's development standards, because very rarely do countries like Botswana take the stage when talking about the New World Order. It's always about the top 2, 3, maybe 4 countries that take the stage. But there's 194 countries plus in the world, and every single person in these countries has their ambitions, has their businesses to run. And if you only focus on multipolarity or segmented polarity and a New World Order, it doesn't really impact these guys and girls. So we have to use a different language, and we have to appreciate these concepts in a way that businesses and investors can use, not only academics in their armchairs.